The chat is going crazy right now. What a day it was. You know, somebody predicted this yesterday. Somebody told me, they said Trump's going to be at 55% in poly market tomorrow, and then he's going to go up to 70%. We're waiting for the 70%, possibly on Monday. But you know what? We got a lot of stuff going on. We got the Iowa poll. Don't let the manipulators manipulate you guys. It's a total manipulation poll. Unbelievable. That Iowa poll, it's a 21-point swing from the summer. They're saying the state swung 21 points. What are we talking about? We've got new Atlas Intel polls, and it's like the Atlas Intel polls are ghosts. Nobody is looking at them. Only Iowa. Selzer. Oh my God, I love you so much. Oh my God. Oh my God, the Iowa poll. The Iowa poll. That's all anyone wants to talk about is the Iowa poll. But listen, guys. We knew it was going to get tighter. We knew there was going to be this fake surge. I didn't know it was going to be this big. None of this is aligning. Why is Pennsylvania moving? It doesn't make any sense. Pennsylvania, the polls have been good in Pennsylvania. BD, thank you, man. Do you like making video streams of sports or politics more? Are you going to keep covering politics? Yeah, I'll keep covering politics. It would be dumb for me not to keep covering politics, honestly, man. But I'll probably keep doing sports videos. It'll depend. It'll really just depend what happens with the election and stuff like that. Did Trump peak too high in poly market? I don't think so. I think, if anything, this is Harris's peak, and then Trump's going to go back up on Monday. I thought Trump never should have been at 67%, honestly, man. But I thought he was overbought at 67%. But I think this is the updated look at it. I mean, listen, this isn't gospel, but let's just take a look at this. 54 to 46. People were telling me Pennsylvania. See, this makes no sense. Why is Pennsylvania moving? It's the Iowa poll. It has to be the Iowa poll. That's why Pennsylvania's moving. That's the only reason. There's no Pennsylvania poll out that suggests that Trump should be going down. So that has an effect over everything. And then it's all about influence and narrative. And I mean, I'm not seeing any polls that would really suggest anything too crazy to worry about for Trump, unless you believe the Iowa poll. Trump's at 82. It was down to like 76. Trump shot so far down. People were buying the hell out of Harris when they saw it, and it's kind of stabilized. That's normally what happens when you get a big shock poll like that in a state. Liberals are saying poly market was biased and fake, and now they're quoting it. Well, look, they can quote it. It still has Trump in the lead, but with the betting, this is ridiculous. I mean, Trump's been in the lead. Let's understand something when it comes to the domination on all the betting. Trump's been in the lead like every day the past month, and now, suddenly Harris, the last 2 days, she's going to make up about 33 points. But listen, Trump's at 51, 52, 53. The betting is reacting to bad polls. And it's just one bad poll. It's the Iowa poll. It's like we need to have a worship session for Iowa. The Iowa poll. Oh my God. It's the Iowa poll. It's one poll. Look at Atlas Intel. They just released 7 polls with Trump winning every single swing state. Let me collect myself and really control my emotions, because people look to me and I need to be confident. And I am confident Trump's going to win. I'm more annoyed. But this is all narrative-based. Where's the movement in Pennsylvania? Where's the big Pennsylvania polls that show Harris winning? They don't exist, but it's moving because of the Iowa poll? Or is it the overall narrative? Why is Wisconsin so far now? But I mean, these are great polls. I mean, Arizona, I don't know about 7 points, but Kerry Lake actually might win in Arizona. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. I guess that Iowa poll was the rumor one from yesterday. That's only here to make 0 sense and just demoralize us. They're getting really desperate. Well, you want to know something funny about the Iowa poll? I was told it was going to be Trump +3, and we were going to have this, talk about, Iowa's going to be closer, so it's going to be tough. I didn't know it was going to be Harris +3. I mean, that's just insane. And it just makes no sense. And all the Republicans are calling it out. But it's like that one Iowa poll trumps all of this. Arizona +7, Nevada +5.5, North Carolina +3.5, Georgia +2, Pennsylvania +2, Michigan +1.5, Wisconsin +1.3. That's got to be the final poll from Atlas Intel. I swear to God. I had to tweet something out today. I was like, this is Atlas Intel's final poll, and then I put sixth final poll because they've had like 7 final polls. And it's like, all right, we understand you want to release polls of, but it's like, if you're telling us it's your final poll, but these are good numbers, we'll take these numbers. Do you think whales are shorting betting Kamala bettors? Well, this is what I'll say about the betting that people. It's another thing with poly market. I don't think it's like this on all the markets. Like Predictive, because I know someone said Predictive, it was Kamala was winning by 5. Guys, Predictive's always been more liberal, but when it comes to these markets, these could be investments. So the idea is you could buy Kamala shares when she has a 33% chance to win, which she did last week, and then you could sell them now and make money off of that. Because that's how this market works. So it's not an exact science to where, oh, you bet Kamala at 33, she has to win to make money. You can sell them, she's at 46 now, and make money because you bought at 33, you're selling at 46. So you're right, it's not an exact thing. But at a certain point, you would have to think this would deaden because the movement here doesn't reflect what's actually happening when it comes to the polls. We just got amazing polls from the most accurate pollster in 2020, and it's moving. It's a demoralization tactic. It's total crap. Trump beat Keynes. Orange, thank you. If the majority of the early votes and women, as the doomers, are saying, and Trump is still dominating the early vote, then isn't that good news that they're mostly women, indicating Trump is doing well with women? Well, it's possible Trump could be doing well with women, but I think the early vote fear-mongering, and I understand why Republicans did it, but it was just the perfect storm. Women already vote more than men, and on top of that, it's a double whammy because they also vote early. They do more early voting than men, so it's like it's an added thing. And so everyone was like, "Oh my God, there's so many more women. Where are the men? The men do the day of voting. It's always been like that." So I understand what you're saying, and there is a narrative that, well, Trump's doing better with women because the early vote's looking better for Trump, and there's more women doing early voting. I understand what you're saying, and that could be a thing. I don't know. I don't have a ton of faith that Trump's going to do amazing with women, but I think it's not going to be an exaggerated loss with women to where he ends up losing because of it. Hopefully not. Dance. I live in an entrepreneurial house. 2 liberals who think Iowa is real and will happen. The left is completely delusional. Confirmation bias. They think Iowa's going liberal. Because the thing is, like, if I was a liberal, I would be like, all right, the cope was, well, listen, that poll is probably wrong. Honestly, this is honestly what I would say if I was a liberal. That poll is wrong, but even if it's 5 or 6 points wrong, that's still good news because that means the Midwest is moving left. That's the narrative that I would say. If they actually believe it, they're totally delusional and they're lost. If they actually think she's going to win Iowa based off of all the other polling we have on all of the Midwestern states, Ohio, even Illinois is turning more to the right, and we're going to see Trump perform better in Illinois, of all places, which is right next to Iowa. So who knows, man? Someone sold their Trump bets in Pennsylvania around 7 o'clock. So that's why you're saying the movement is happening. I just think there might be a lot of panic sells, I'm guessing. But a lot of these people, they buy and then they sell, and it's an investment. It's not necessarily you're buying Trump to win and he has to win for you to make money. No, if he goes up in Pennsylvania, you can sell it. So there's another layer to it. But I hear Predicted is a bloodbath right now in terms of Trump. Remember, don't get overconfident and complacent. Get out and vote. Well, Oliver, this should definitely be a wake-up call to people, but to me, this is more of a demoralization tactic. I think that poll is ridiculous. Who is the Eric Daugherty guy? Yeah, he's been a beast, man. He's been a beast. He's like the number one. He started showing up on my For You X, maybe like 2 months ago, but he breaks all the news when it comes to this polling stuff. These are all the polls that have just been updated. Wait, the national poll, this was an Atlas Intel, I think. Yeah, that was an Atlas Intel national, Trump +2. There's the Iowa +3. The Iowa +10.5 was the Emerson. Virginia tie was kind of a weird poll because it only added up to 90. There were so many undecideds. I don't know how much faith I put in that Virginia tie. I mean, Virginia will be interesting Minnesota +5. I do think she ends up winning Minnesota. All these other ones are Atlas. Georgia 1.8 is Atlas. Yeah, they're all Atlas, I think. The Iowa +3, and then it is crazy. The same day we get an Iowa Harris +3, Iowa Trump +10.5. That's a spread of 13.5. Same poll with 3 days before the election. I mean, what sense does that make? I was dooming on Selzer. Now I'm smiling about Atlas Intel. Right. I mean, how much faith do we want to put in Atlas Intel? I think Atlas Intel, you have to say, I mean, putting bias aside, it's way better to receive the Atlas Intel polls than it is the one-off Iowa poll. But the betting is just reacting to the Iowa poll, but it's the Atlas Intel who was most accurate in 2020, and that doesn't mean they're going to be most accurate in 2024. A lot of people get that confused. But still, I mean, that's a good indicator that they're a pretty solid pollster. And I'm not saying they're going to be their gospel, but I would rather get all these Atlas Intel polls, although it is kind of weird what Atlas Intel is doing. I'm going to be honest. It's like, why are they releasing all these polls? It's like every day they're releasing polls now. And they keep getting better for Trump. But I think they're good results. And the Iowa poll is just the crazy whopper. And that was the rumor from all the Republican election accounts. They were like, there's going to be some crazy poll that doesn't make any sense, and it's going to go against Trump, and it's going to light everything up. There's probably going to be a big recovery for Trump tomorrow once these Atlas polls have effect. It's not cope. It's just the Atlas polls are going to outnumber the Iowa poll that makes no sense. Oh no, not an Alan Lichtman question. How do you reconcile the fact that Alan Lichtman says Kamala and he's never wrong? Dude, we're really going to go through this again. This has got to be a penguin. Penguin. Please go watch. Listen, all you have to search up my name, search up 13 keys, and you can watch that video and you can see my thoughts on the 13 keys and how they're assigned. And Lichtman is total Trump derangement syndrome. He hates Trump. He's hated Trump for months. There's video after video of him saying horrible things, about Trump and how he's such a bad leader and a horrible person. And he's made his keys fit the criterias when they don't even fit that. I mean, there's independent people that do the keys and they say, well, no, Trump wins most of the keys. And so he's partisan. And when you're partisan and you have a subjective model and you bring bias into the subjective model, that's when it becomes an issue. They act like the keys are, you just input numbers and then it spits it out and it's a scientific thing. That's not it. Some of the stuff is, based off of numbers. Like if there was a growth rate of whatever, I can understand that. But when you have the subjectiveness of it, that's when it becomes a real problem. I'm a little worried about the Iowa poll. Then I realized where they polled in Iowa and realized it's not reflective. Love you, man. Voting on Tuesday in North Carolina. Well, the thing with the Iowa poll that's so crazy is they released an Iowa poll 4 months ago and it had Trump up 18, and that was a ridiculous poll. But still, how the difference of 21 points over the span of 4 months, it's let alone the shifts that we've seen in the United States more to the right. And Iowa, of all places, which, you could argue certain states get more liberal, like Colorado's gotten more liberal. North Carolina maybe has slightly gotten more liberal, but I don't think that's going to make up for the gains that Trump's made just in terms of overall nationwide. Like, he's still going to win North Carolina, but you could argue there's more liberals moving into North Carolina because it's cheaper than New York. But it's like Iowa, of all places. How is Iowa going to move 12 points to the left? That doesn't align with anything. Wasn't there Iowa early voting numbers that had Republicans? I think there actually is. There's some crazy early voting numbers here. Carrie Lake now is trending, and she's winning this Senate race against Gallego by about a point. That's Atlas Intel saying that there's definitely a chance Carrie Lake could win if Trump really runs up a margin in Arizona. Iowa early voting by the years. This was the 2020 election, Democrats +12. That's a state that Trump, remember, he won Iowa by 8 in 2020. 2022, that's the midterms, Dems +18. And then a tie in 2024, 12-point shift. Shift is identical to Florida's 20. Wow, that is, yeah, I mean, I don't think Trump's going to win. Well, I mean, he might win Iowa by 9 or 10 points. I mean, that seriously might be the worst poll, legitimately. You can really tell they are getting desperate with these polls. Even my dad, who's been saying it will be stolen, has been saying he thinks Trump will win. James, yeah, well, that poll is crazy. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting an annoying Trump +3 in Iowa, and it's like, well, Trump's going to outperform that. But to get this poll, it's almost so comical, but people are reacting to it, and it's causing serious panic. This is the fake surge we were expecting. This is that we're going to have to go through some hardships here. It's not just going to be an easy victory. You're going to have to face some adversity, and this is the adversity, and it's fine. But I mean, they're like, why is Pennsylvania moving? I seriously think Pennsylvania is moving because of narrative in the Iowa poll. What poll that's come out? Now, there is New York Times. I saw, oh, that's just great. New York Times is coming out tomorrow. Oh, that's just what we needed. Now, I mean, New York Times, Siena has not been bad to Trump this cycle, but the Pennsylvania polls have not been good. Was that seriously the New York Times that had Harris +3 in Pennsylvania? I think it was. Can we not do this today? Real clear. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Let's hope this shifts if they actually do release it. If we get a Harris +3 in Pennsylvania tomorrow. I mean, I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but I heard there's going to be those polls getting released. These are dudes that went to Harvard. I appreciate the $2 donation. Matt V donated 99 cents, retracted it. Do you think that if the Dems win, they will throw Elon in prison? They're not going to be able to. He's too rich. They're going to drag him into legal hell, and he'll have a bunch of court dates, and they'll be... But more so what they'll do is they'll try and get control of Twitter by bullying all of the sponsors to leave so it doesn't become worth any money, and Trump and Elon's not going to be able to make any money off of the platform. And I think Elon doesn't even care. It's going to be more of a selfless thing to keep freedom of speech alive on the internet. They want to kill freedom of speech on the internet. They've said it. They said there's no such thing. Remember when conservatives and the doctors got banned for saying bad things about the shots? They're like, it doesn't matter. We're going to ban you because we want to, and they're a private company. And there were liberal Americans that agreed with that. And you talk to any liberal American, and it's like, what's your actual viewpoint on the internet and on what's going on with X and Elon Musk? And they're like, well, there needs to be regulation, but they always go back to the idea of, and it's like, who regulates it? And it's always liberal people. So they want it to be controlled, but only by them. And that's not happening right now. But they can't do anything to Musk. And this is something that people have to understand. They're like, why weren't they doing anything to Musk right now? This is an election year. If they did something to Musk, that would be seen by independent people as extremely unpopular. So they're not going to do anything to Musk. They're going to do hands off. It's just like they're securing the border right now. I wonder why. Where was this energy in 2021, 2022, 2023 when millions and millions and millions of illegals poured in, and a lot of them poured into swing states? I mean, if you look at the numbers, Elon Musk put it up. It's a rise in all the swing states of like 2,000% in terms of the illegals entering those states. But it's not just the swing states, it's everywhere. But it's like, this is what they do. Now that it's an election year, they're not going to say anything to Elon Musk. It's hands off. But once they win, they get 3 years. And then the 4th year, they can do all their fake, we love America, America's the greatest. Remember the leftists, now their whole thing, and it's pure gaslighting. This is what they say. They'll say, liberals are more American and more patriotic than conservatives. Well, the far left liberals, and these people are far left, they marched to Washington, D.C., and there's 3 massive flagpoles in D.C. They took them down, they burned the American flags, and they put up that shit-infested Palestine flag on all 3 of the flagpoles in Washington, D.C. And that's, I mean, is that not the most... It's just... And then they claim they're more American. His winning margin with men is better than losing margin with women. I agree with you. And that's what's going to decide the election. Do we know what the internal polls show? I haven't seen many leaks on internal polls. I heard that they were... I heard from Mark Mitchell, the Rasmussen guy, that the internal polls are to the right of the Rasmussen polls, which would be crazy. But again, it's like, do you really trust that? We'll have to see. Why do you think Trump is falling and Kami rising on poly market election winner? Because of the Iowa poll that just got released. I think that's the sole reason. And there's also this narrative, and it's the Marist and it's the CNN Those three, I think, are the main reason. And it's like, well, she has the momentum. It's this phony momentum online, and that's also pushing it up as well. And also, Trump never should have been at 67% in the first place. So it's all contributing to the fall when it comes to the polling, I would say. This fear is not as bad as it will make men get out and vote. And the Ron Paul news makes some undecided libertarians get out to vote for Trump. Yeah, Ron Paul working with Elon Musk, if you don't know. Nate Silver to the New York Post. The race isn't close. Their polls are trying to tip the scale to make it seem like it is. Nate Silver actually say that? Nate Silver's own model has it 51-49. I don't know if that's true, man. Marines for Trump. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt V. I was at the Trump rally last night in Milwaukee, and the energy was awesome. Trump is definitely winning Wisconsin. Well, no, I agree. Trump does have very good energy at rallies, although it is anecdotal. Not, even if he has good energy, it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to win the state. But I agree with you. He is winning. He is winning Wisconsin. And to have a rally at the Pfizer Forum, I think it was, in Milwaukee, the shenanigans are off the charts everywhere. Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard too much about it today, but somebody in chat was talking about duplicate ballots or something. That's what I heard today. Kamala on SNL seems like McCain level, but desperation. Is that happening tonight? Dude, so go on SNL and do some phony crap where you make fun of Trump, and it's supposed to be this funny thing, but don't do Rogan for 3 hours and actually talk. And the thing with Rogan is he's not even looking. He said, I'm not looking for a gotcha interview or podcast. He just wants to get to know her. It is free 3 hours where you're getting millions of views, and you might make people like you more because it's long form. And when you do long form and you talk for longer periods of time, it makes you more personable. But no, she's going to do SNL and do some bullshit dig at Trump. Like, that's really going to change anything. That's if she's probably is doing that. Anthony, thank you for that. KR Ninja, save the babies from Biden, vote Trump. Yeah, the baby, Biden was stuck his mouth in was eating a baby's foot. Like, seriously. Ian, I lived in Iowa and just voted in Iowa since 2004. Selzer just ended her career. If she wins, I'll tase myself in the balls on YouTube live. No, it's a crazy poll, man. It is a crazy poll. I mean, there's no way that poll is going to be. I mean, if Trump only wins Iowa by like 3 or 4, I would say that poll had some validity to it. But I mean, still, it'd be 7 points off. But it would be is that poll? There's no way that poll is seeing something that no one else is. The thing is, Iowa is just not polled. But Emerson released a poll that had Trump up by 10.5, which, I mean, that's kind of like the margin you would expect. You would expect a 10.5 point lead. What do you have to say to all the people who say it's not looking good for Trump? Trump's the favorite in terms of the betting. Trump's the favorite in terms of the polls. How is it not looking good for Trump? I don't understand. Unless you're over emotional and any little bad thing, you can't handle adversity and it's automatically Trump's going to lose if any bad thing happens. That's what a lot of this is. But also a lot of it is media. And look, the media has been saying it's 50-50, 50-50. That's all they say. It's 50-50 no matter what. Yeah, you say it's 50-50 when you're losing. Remember, they said Hillary was going to win, Biden was going to win for sure because they were leading. But now they're losing, so they say it's 50-50. And now they get these crap polls that really tighten things up. But I would be shocked if Trump entered on Tuesday night as an underdog. I would be shocked based on the polls. Unless we get crazy New York Times polls tomorrow. And, we'll see what happens with New York Times. It'll be interesting. Gore won Iowa in 2000. Well, Trump won Iowa in 2016 and 2020 by, I mean, Iowa has been a swing state, you're right, but recently in the Trump years it has not, and it's been significant. It's not like it's a 4 or 5 point victory. I mean, I could understand if it was closer. Refresh. Oh, man. 54.0. Yeah, it's down 0.6. Bro, you're ruining it with the refresh. I gotta stop refreshing it. there's gonna have to be a stop at some point. Do you think all these celebs are backing Kamala due to taking part in the Diddy parties? Well, I think celebrities in general are going to lean heavily left. I mean, this is just what they do. You know, LeBron had a rally with Hillary, but I understand what people are saying with the conspiracy with Diddy and stuff. I get that. But again, celebrities are going to lean far left anyways, no matter what, with or without it. This doesn't surprise me, with or without the Diddy situation. Bro, this thing is like freaking. I recommend using Streamlabs for donations. YouTube takes 30% of donations. Yeah, but how do I set that up on Streamlabs? I'm not sure you can set that up through Streamlabs. But you're still like streaming on YouTube, so how wouldn't YouTube be able to take their cut? Or unless you set up the donations through something else, I guess. America deserves what it gets if Harris wins. Dean, thank you. Can we please get a moment of silence for Peanut? You want to talk about government overreach? What happened to? Listen, it's all the animals for Trump, squirrels for Trump, cats for Trump. That was a really sad story. I mean, it is crazy how viral this stuff goes now with the internet and everyone connected. The Iowa newspaper editor should be ashamed. Yeah, that was. I mean, the poll is just ridiculous. Have I seen? I've never seen that. I commit a 187 on. I'm not sure I want to read that out. No, I've never seen that, man. John, love your channel. Voted straight Republican in my shithole state, New York. Hope to help the popular vote. Right, and that's the thing is you do want to help the popular vote even if you're in a liberal state. But you should just want to vote in general anyways. But no, I think New York's going to be closer, man. But unfortunately, it's not going to be, to where some of the Republicans are saying. I still remember Vivek saying it's a swing state. He said that last Sunday. I mean, you're at Madison Square Garden. You want to rally people. I understand it. But, there was some annoying polling that came out of New York about a few weeks ago that had Harris up by 19. It kind of threw a bucket of water, on the whole idea of Trump potentially being competitive in New York. I never thought he was going to be competitive, but I thought maybe it would be around 10 or 11. I've maybe a 12 and a half best case scenario in New York, which is a huge shift. You'd just like to see a shift, honestly, mainly. Corey, buddy, if they cheat this, it may cause a revolt, and it may be the Fireball Whiskey speaking, but let's go. Well, listen, we don't want anything like. Listen, dude. This is the problem, and this is what it always stems from. Republicans, because of 2020, have no faith in the American electoral process, and there was no steps taken bipartisan, especially by liberals, to ensure that Republicans have faith in elections. It's just gaslighting, like you're conspiracy theorists if you think something bad has happened. So obviously, it's this cat and mouse game where there's no transparency. And this is not just an American thing. See, the argument that they'll use is it's just these dumb conservatives. Trump can't handle losing. You're always going to claim it was rigged if you lose. When you have pretty much in unison all the European countries claiming what we do with ballot drop boxes, what we do with all the early vote, the mail-in voting. See, in-person early voting, you might be able to keep if it's like a week-long thing, not like a month. But it's like all these other countries agree that none of this shit needs to happen. It's just extra steps that it's not even necessarily even so the cheating. It's the lack of trust in the American electoral system that causes events that happen like a January 6th and like what you're talking about, where if something happens and then Trump claims something was cheated and this happened again, just like it happened in 2020, there's going to be a huge problem. And liberals did nothing outside of just say it's not happening. Well, then why not at least just do, and we need more than it, but why not just at least do the ID, the voter ID? Show your ID when you vote. It's the easiest thing ever. And I saw a poll, 85% said they agree, show ID. And I did a video and I included it. It was 85% said you should have to show your ID to vote. And they won't agree with it. That the liberals in Congress don't agree with it. They shut it down. They shut down the act. And then they say, why are you people, You're the conspiracy theorist. Remember, don't like 32% of them said that they said that Trump would used fake blood when he got shot in Butler? No. You're right. You're right. Republicans are just the dumb conspiracy. The 32% of them in a poll said that Trump faked getting shot even though someone died and used a fake blood pouch when he was covering his ear and put that onto his ear and it was fake. 32% of them believed that. And remember, after it, they were like, oh, we wish Trump died. And that's what they believed. But no. Trump has the bad rhetoric. They're the ones that wanted Trump to die when the only reason he survived was because he turned his head. But Trump's the one with the terrible rhetoric. Remember that? Shout out from Little Rock, Arkansas. Arkansas is a nice Republican state. I mailed in Trump because I'm not trying to get stationed in a war zone. I work in aircraft fuel tanks. Dirt Star, I appreciate that. Thank you, man. Nick, I appreciate the $1.99. Elijah, if the Iowa poll affects the Pennsylvania odds on Polymarket, why didn't it affect the Iowa odds? Well, it did. And it is actually pretty crazy to see it affected them more. So look at this. We were sitting look at this. We're sitting the entire election season with Trump around a 95% chance to win. Look at this. It plummeted to a panic like 75-25. And then obviously you bring it to a day and you zoom in on it and you see 94, 95, 95. Imagine somebody had insider info on that Iowa poll. Dude, you could seriously insider trade Kamala at 7% and then sell her when it got up to 25%. Hilarious. But now it seemingly is settled at like 82 to 18. So it did affect it even more because Trump was at 95. Now he's down to 82, a 13% decrease. And it was even more. It was like a 25% decrease, or not a 25, like a 20% decrease at a certain point. Did you read the Trump campaign's response to the Iowa poll? No, I didn't. Not yet. I did a video on the Iowa poll, but I didn't read their response. Did they actually respond to the poll specifically? That surprises me. Normally, the campaigns don't do that. Elon's SpaceX is basically the U.S. space program. Yeah, dude, NASA compared to SpaceX, it's crazy. And how about all the stuff they forced Elon to do when it comes to all the regulations and stuff in landing them? They're like, oh, there's sharks, there's whales around. You have to look for the whale population when you land. What are you talking about? Getting rid of him for political reasons would be one of the stupidest things the government could do. Yeah, but I think they want full control of the internet, and Musk is a huge thorn. It's like a thorn, and it's like forcing them to bleed out almost. That's the hyperbole. It's not just a thorn in their side. I mean, it's really detrimental that Musk has this control because it changes the narrative in terms of public discourse, especially X. It's the most powerful thing when it comes to politics. I mean, you could argue YouTube, but with X, you're communicating and you're talking. Instagram's a nothing burger when it comes to that with just the photos and stuff. I know they've got stories and things, but in terms of impacting people, TikTok is young people, but it's not, X is where it's at. But SpaceX is lapping NASA right now in innovation, yes. Harris being up in Pennsylvania on Polymarket and seeing the commies come out to comment on the betting shift is funny to me. Trump's momentum is here to stay. Adam, I appreciate it. Well, listen, it is what it is. The betting shift happened. It's pretty crazy. I really don't understand. I haven't seen a single poll in Pennsylvania to signal a shift to where Trump shouldn't be winning. Trump is still winning. And look, we'll see what happens with this New York Times poll, because the New York Times poll might something, we'll have to see. Because their last Pennsylvania poll was Harris +3. So normally when you get something like that, I mean, it could swing a lot. We don't know because their last one was like a month ago. But I'm just saying when you get like a +3, there's a chance it's probably going to be like a +2 or a +3 again. But right now, Pennsylvania, Trump is winning Pennsylvania according to Real Clear Politics. Understand the history with Trump where they always underestimate him in the Rust Belt. So not only have they underestimated him in the past, he doesn't even need an underestimation to win. And he's losing. See, this is where this does not align. This does not align. I've said that these markets are an extension of the polls, but we're seeing an over-exaggeration now. We're seeing a clear over-exaggeration. Yeah, this is not what things, the indicators are not saying this. The indicators are not saying this. It's not Cope. Where's the poll that swung it? Oh, it's the Iowa poll that we must pray to because it's going to change everything. The Iowa poll, yes. Selzer had a good reputation and track record. I hope she's wrong, but I don't know. No, I understand that. But when you get a swing of 21 points, it's next level delusion. And it's not just 21 points, it's Iowa compared to the other Rust Belt states and the way they've been polling this cycle. And it's also even compared to Minnesota. There's been polls where, according to this poll, potentially Minnesota more conservative than Iowa this cycle. It's just not going to happen. It's ridiculous. I mean, there's a chance Trump loses Minnesota by 2 points, and they've got, Iowa as a 3-point loss for Trump. Corey, we are getting nervous because 2020 it was stolen. Thank you, Corey, for that. It is hold on. Yeah, it's a real video, New York Post video. Look it up. All right, I'll look it up at the end of this stream. Have you seen on Polymarket in the last few hours how is Harris catching up? Because of an Iowa poll that was shocking, and it's affecting everything because I think the Midwest is going to be more liberal, and you also had the CNN poll and the Marist poll from yesterday, and it's all impacting it. It's momentum-based. It's not. There hasn't been any crazy bad polling for Trump. These states are very close. There was an Iowa poll, and it's having a major impact on the markets right now, and the markets need to settle down. On Tuesday, what is the first state you are looking to are looking at you feel could show how the night will potentially go? Yeah, I mean, well, it's hard because it's like we don't know exactly the vote counts and when that's going to happen. I mean, I would like to see Trump really just blow her out in Florida. Not that it's going to be a crazy indicator, but I know Florida counts really fast, and you get Trump up by 8 or 9. Ideally, it would be Pennsylvania, but is Pennsylvania going to count fast enough? Pennsylvania is obviously the clear indicator. I think, you'd love to see an exaggerated lead in Georgia because I think Georgia's going to count. What in the hell is this? I just got an error on my live chat. Let me go back to this. My live chat was like freaking lagging to hell. All right, it's back. But, yeah, I don't even know. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. The first state would be Pennsylvania, man. It has to be Pennsylvania, even depending on how slow they count, but it has to be Pennsylvania in terms of how we're going. But I do want to see a blow. I just want to see Trump up by 8 points with like 55% in or like 10 points in Florida. The way they count Florida, I think, is they do both early vote, or they do the early vote before or something, and then they do day of it, and they're able to get it done really quickly. I mean, I would love to see Trump with huge momentum with a massive win in Florida, and you're up by like 4 or 5 in Georgia and North Carolina. Ideally, but I mean, obviously Pennsylvania is the big one because listen, they're already saying they can win the election, and technically they can without Georgia or North Carolina. So it's like, well, if Trump wins those states, it's not the end of the world for them. But if she loses Pennsylvania, I mean, the election could be over very soon, depending on how fast Pennsylvania counts. Because if you get Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, the election's over. As long as but maybe Trump will lose Iowa, and that would actually change it. But no, obviously, if Trump wins Pennsylvania, he's not going to lose Iowa. Kyle, the next 2 days will get crazy. Everyone's anxiety is up. Liberal polls will come out and Kamala could take the lead. All other data is still good for Trump. I agree with you. I am a little bit worried about the New York Times polls. We'll have to see what happens to them tomorrow. Kaisha showing Kamala Harris winning the election. Yeah, they've been more liberal. That's the American New Betting site, but they've got less volume, so they're more easily manipulated. The Nate Silver thing was in the New York Post. Well, listen, that's pretty surprising with his own model if he actually said that, because his own model is 51-49 right now. If he said that, basically that Trump's going to win. I mean, I know he predicted his guts. He said Trump was going to win. That was his prediction, but it was more so like a gut thing. Oh, it could go either way from what I saw. Walk Talk 21, chances of Army making the college football playoff. Also, where will they rank Ohio State or Miami ahead of, will they rank Ohio State or Miami ahead of Georgia after today? Yeah, I think Ohio State should be ahead of Georgia. Georgia really struggled in that game against Florida. Miami, I don't think so, man. Miami gives up too many points. Army does have a shot. Right now, it seems like it's going to be Boise State because of the Genty hype. If Army goes undefeated and they beat Notre Dame, they have to make it, though, over Boise State. But if they lose to Notre Dame, I think they take Boise State as long as Boise State has one loss. Plus, Boise State has they're Mountain West if they win the championship. And plus, the Boise State they're ranked above where Army is right now, even though Army's undefeated. On top of that, Boise State has the very close loss against Oregon on the road. They lost by 3 points, and that's key. Even though they lost that game, it's still a very good performance. I've reviewed all the polling, which is obviously good for Trump. What the hell is going on with Polymarket? It's one panic poll in Iowa. I swear that's it. That's it. And you also had the Marist and CNN, but it's that panic poll in Iowa. Because you did see Trump, he was able to regain. I think you can actually look at this in a better, because you look at this, you really can't tell. But if you go to Trump and then go to the day, yeah, Trump was regaining. Dude, it's one poll. It is one poll that has changed the Iowa poll. And it's also the narrative, but no, you look at today, Trump had gotten all the way down to 57. This was 7 a.m. He regains up to around 59, 60. And then he falls a little bit, and then he just tanks. That 7 o'clock drop, there it is right there. It seems like it's just one poll, and it's kind of a combination of things, though, but that one poll has such a big impact. I mean, Trump had a very, very nice, this is a crazy, crazy rise for Harris, a very quick rise. It was a methodical Trump advantage to where he just kept gaining and gaining and gaining. I think Trump can win with the popular vote by 5 points. Call me crazy, but pollsters always miss. No, I agree with pollsters missing, but 5 points in terms of the popular vote is pretty crazy, man. Sean, thank you for the $3. What do you think is going to happen in Arizona? Arizona looks extremely good right now. And I'm talking, I think Trump's going to win. It could be 4 or 5. And if it's 4 or 5, Kari Lake over Gallego might happen. Like, legitimately, Atlas Intel's come out with their second poll that has Kari Lake winning now by 1 in the Senate race. Trump up by around 6. We could be looking at, and even this, like where are the updates on Arizona? Arizona should be 80-20 at this point. 73-27. Georgia, what is this? What poll came out of Georgia? Listen, it's a 5-point decrease, but it's just, I don't understand how that's decreased. There's no poll that's come out of Georgia. Georgia is the most, according to polling, the most Republican state. There's not been a single thing that's come out of Georgia that would swing Georgia down. I don't know what you're betting on. How is the Iowa poll affecting Georgia? At this rate, she'll be the favorite by tomorrow morning. These New York Times polls are going to be huge, but there's also other pollsters that are going to release. I shouldn't just factor in their polls. They're the only ones I know that are releasing polls tomorrow. The thing is with Trump is, I think Trafalgar still has to release their final polls. So Trump may have Trafalgar as a helper. The New York Times is kind of iffy. We'll see. They haven't been terrible to Trump, but the Pennsylvania poll is a little bit scary. Rasmussen is done. Atlas Intel is done. But I think the Atlas Intel is still going to have an effect. Brian, I voted Republican here in California, hoping to cash in on the popular vote. Also, I'm confused. TYT just did a breaking news live segment saying cackling Kamala is winning. Are they wrong? Well, no, they're definitely wrong. What are they basing that off of exactly? Are they basing it off of an Iowa poll? It's just like she's winning in terms of what? There's no polling that would indicate. You're seeing like let me just show you how ridiculous this is. Unless I missed something. Did I miss something? I didn't think I missed anything. I didn't miss anything. No, but if you think Kamala is going to win with it, by the way, we've got the gold standard. This pollster's been within a point the last 2 cycles, Trump +4. And I'm not saying this, Georgia's going to go down and become a swing, but why did Georgia decrease by 5? What poll influenced this? I wonder. This is a panic sell. It's a panic sell. Gob, bad news. I consulted with my Ouija board, and the ghost of Marie Antoinette said that Kamala is winning Missouri. Well, did you see my tweet? I put out a tweet that said... my liberal friend, after reacting to the Iowa poll, thinks that liberals might win Montana and Wyoming. Let me see if I have I think I liked it. Guys, go look at this tweet. My liberal friend just called me. He's pumped after the Iowa poll, thinks Wyoming and Montana are now in play. Let him enjoy this. He'll be crying on Tuesday. Should I say he thinks Alaska? Well, Alaska they actually think is kind of in play. They do think Alaska is in play. No, they don't, but they think Alaska's going to be closer. My liberal friend thinks Oklahoma is in play. New York Times CNF final 2020 Pennsylvania poll was off by 5 points. Well, they were all off in 2020 outside of Atlas. But like a lot of them were horribly off everywhere in 2020. So saying they were off by 5, I mean, I understand, but it's refresh again. I did refresh, brother. It's at like 53-47. Dude, if Trump goes down, if you ask me to refresh and Trump, okay, here's the thing. I'll turn off the stream if Trump goes below 50. Should I make that just because I've been as a funny thing, because it's not going to happen. I'm only streaming for like a few hours, but we do get an extra hour tonight. We do get an extra hour. Troy News. Oh, the Troy Trojans. Are you affiliated with the Troy Trojans? Trump got 74 million votes in 2020, needs 7+ million for a popular vote win in 2024. Polls show him stronger than ever. Too big to rig. Can he do it? Trump 2024. No. He can do it, absolutely, and he's the favorite right now. Rasmussen said today there's 40 to 50% of Trump voters left in the tank that will vote on election day. Absolutely. And that's the fear-mongering from the right. And they're going to do that because they have to, because it's like, well, men are not voting enough. But there's going to be so many people that vote election day. That's just the reality of it. There's so many people. People are, sometimes even to go early vote in person, it's annoying for people because it's 20, 30 minutes away, as opposed to the voting booths that they put up, they might be right next to their house. So, so it's like, it's just harder for people sometimes to do the early voting. So people underestimate the day of. But yeah, there's going to be huge turnout day of for Republicans. But the early voting, it's kind of what I expected. I think it's good for Trump. But it's just early voting. You can't put a ton of stock into it. Great work through the cycle. Polling right now is geared towards bringing Democrat demoralization down. The real polls and the general sentiment is a great night for Trump. That's a great summary. You're right. They're trying to boost the morale, especially after the numbers in 2020 and 2016. A lot of them had to be shell-shocked when they saw that Trump was up in all these polls. Some of the liberal polls like Quinnipiac that they heavily relied on in 2020, they would always cite Quinnipiac as, why Biden would win. And now Quinnipiac is changed totally. So it's a shell-shock thing, and they're trying to find a narrative to cling to. And so now it's, well, if Iowa goes to Harris or is trending that way, that's going to affect the other Rust Belt states. And you get this bullshit CNN poll that has Harris up by 6, I think, in Michigan or Wisconsin. And that also affects it as well. But you're right. It's the sentiment overall, Jarrett. The sentiment for Trump this entire cycle has been amazing. We're not going to do this thing where now suddenly she's winning. Trump's been winning this entire month. This is, all of October, Trump was winning. He was gaining momentum. It doesn't get erased with one single Iowa poll that's an outlier. I mean, but even the thing is with the Iowa is we actually have an Emerson poll. And I'm not saying Emerson is an amazing pollster. I mean, they're a big pollster. But if they've got Trump, it's not like Emerson is Republican. I mean, of course, if it was Rasmussen, they'd say, well, it's just Republican cope. But if Emerson has Trump up by 10.5 in Iowa, and they release that poll the same day as this Iowa Harris +3, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Which one do you think is more accurate? I'm going to guess the Emerson. And I don't think that's cope. I think that's just based off of what we've seen 2020, 2016, where Iowa is right now as a state. Love your content. Atlas has dropped new thoughts. The Atlas polls are amazing. They're amazing. We'll see if they're right, but they're amazing. I hope they're right. Here are the Atlas polls again for people that didn't see them. I mean, they're just great polls. I mean, everything's over a point. Obviously the Rust Belt is very close. We expected that, but Arizona +6.5. Kerry Lake would win if Trump won by 6.5. Nevada 5.5. The Nevada polls are getting pretty good for Trump. I mean, it's not a lot of electoral votes, but you do want it, Nevada. There are some scenarios where Nevada could be big. If you end up losing a Pennsylvania, Nevada could be big. But North Carolina, I mean, these are great polls. They're great polls. But it's like these polls have no effect, and it's just which is kind of the weird thing when it comes to the betting. See, you would think these polls would have a bigger effect and it would drive Trump back up. Iowa Republican registration up 10% from 2020. Harris +3. Did you see the early voting though? You got to look at the early voting on this. This is what'll really kill. This is unbelievable. 2020 Democrats +12. 2024 tie. Republicans make up 12 points in terms of the early vote. It's on par with Florida's shift. I'm not saying Trump's going to end up winning Iowa by 15, but I mean the idea that these early vote numbers signal a Harris +3, which would be a 11-point shift to the left relative to 2020. Seriously? Come on. Do you think the Epstein list and Diddy tapes can become public if Trump wins? Musk mentioned Reid Hoffman and Bill Gates acting very worried because they were close to Epstein. Well, there's going to be, listen, this is what I can tell you about any of that stuff. There's going to be way more dialogue and pressure to release those things if Trump wins rather than any Democrat. So no matter what, there will be pressure on Trump, and Trump's been asked about it, and he was a little bit coy. It was a Fox News interview. He was asked, "Are you going to release the Epstein list?" And he ended up saying yes. And Musk is going to pressure him to do it. And obviously, the JFK files will be declassified, and hopefully it'll be more transparent. And Trump said he's going to do that. He said that on Rogan. So things will be more transparent, you would hope, with this Trump administration. But that's just typical with liberals protecting these type of people. I mean, there's going to be an insane amount of pressure to release them if Trump wins. Thank you for the emoji. Well, squirrels are voting for Trump, just like cats, man, just like cats. Harris imported voters, election interference. No, you're racist. You're right. You hate immigrants, dude. You're so racist, man. I'm being sarcastic, but that's the gaslighting we have to deal with. Joe Biden said he wants to smack Republican men. He's just completely lost it. He's so senile and old and such a bitter old man. And he's got to someone's got to muzzle him. The Democrats are gaslighting people into thinking the race is close so they can steal it by finding enough mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin Wednesday morning. Well, the hope is that this election is called by 2 a.m. at the latest. But I mean, I don't know. I'm just pulling numbers out of my ass in terms of when I think it's going to get called. But listen, there's definitely a narrative they're trying to push that now Harris is winning. But this is one of the most ridiculous polls I've ever seen. And I'm not even trying to be overdramatic or over-exaggerate it. Jesus, man. I just spilled water all over myself. Oh, man. Yeah, Biden is just, I mean, somebody's got to shut him up. He really needs to stop talking. He's hurting their party significantly. Too many illegal migrants may get on voter rolls in swing states. Of the millions of illegals, even if 1% get through, that could be devastating. Well, I am Charles. Hopefully that doesn't happen. That's really speculation. I really can't say anything about it. There's just a lack of trust in the entire process right now with a lot of people. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous, but at this point, who cares about polls? We're going to find out in a couple of days. If men vote, we win. That's a good message, man. Trump is cooked. This ain't good. Listen, you get adversity like this, you need to push back against it. You don't shrivel up to these crap polls. You need to fight it. It's crap. Trump is leading for sure. Opinion on Let's Talk elections. I mean, just a liberal YouTuber. I've got nothing against him. I heard that Iowa has Harris up. Well, a poll does. The specific poll in Iowa. There's one poll that has Harris up. That's it. Amateur. What can Americans do in future elections to prevent blatant in-kind contributions from MSNBC, CNN? Well, what do you mean, like propaganda for a party? It's very hard to police that. I mean, they're just networks, and they're going to cover news the way they see fit. It's hard to do anything against that. I mean, but that's been a thing. You know, Trump's been dealing with that his third straight election cycle when it comes to the way he's covered. And a lot of those people are paid to talk the way they are. They talk. I mean, they're paid to create a narrative within a certain topic. I'll never forget this election cycle. I had CNN on because it was going to be the Kamala town hall, and the 6 o'clock CNN news starts, and Wolf Blitzer, he wasn't screaming, but he was like, ooh, he was putting his heart into it, and it was Donald Trump, Hitler, and it was just like, oh my God. But it's just like, that's where you see the propaganda. And that was when they were trying to say Donald Trump he wanted his advisors or his generals to be like Hitler's generals. Poly market melting is just people hedging or cashing out. It's silly, but polls are making me nervous now, but not in 2016. Well, 2016, Trump was in a worse spot than he is now. But I do think there is a lot. We're more online now than we were in 2016. And there's all these different metrics that you can look at. So there's more information for you to potentially get nerved by, if that makes sense. And listen, the poly market tank is not based off of, it's more of a panic sell, it looks like, and a rebound is likely for Trump. Because to me, Trump is still the favorite. There really hasn't been any crazy polls that have come out today. The Iowa poll is next level crazy. It's so bad, it's ridiculous. Any update since the rally from New Mexico? That's a good question. I haven't seen any update on New Mexico. The last time I checked, it was looking like a 5.5 point Harris win. Whether or not Trump can close that fully, we don't know. Obviously, his internals are better than 5.5. They probably think he's losing by 3. There was an internal that was released in New Mexico. It was a New Mexico poll where Trump was beating Biden, but that was back in the summer. Maybe they think that they can win New Mexico if you visit there and you go out of your way to visit there. But I'm not sure if Trump also made other stops when he went to New Mexico, if it was just a one to New Mexico and then back to the Rust Belt states or to the swing states. Because normally they'll go do a fundraiser and then they'll go to New Mexico. So I don't know. Because Texas is big with, you go to the states like that, you get a lot of money. You do fundraisers in Texas. In Michigan, they found 160K fake votes getting kicked out. Yeah, that there was like duplicate ballots or something. Also, this Iowa poll is the worst thing to edge to. Yeah, the Iowa poll. This Iowa poll is it's definitely changed the entire betting market, that's for sure. A Trump plus 50 county in Georgia just passed its 2020 total in just early votes. That's good. I mean, the only issue with that would be because it's a plus 50, it's obviously sparsely populated. I mean, it's cool, but, if it was a bigger populated area, it would be really, really crazy. But I'm sure it's like more sparsely populated. But I agree with you, Citrus. He's definitely going to win Georgia. And I think it's going to be at least 2 or 3. I would argue. These polls are in bed with sports betting. Think about it. It drives money. I'm not worried. They're trying to feed on everyone's dollar. P.S. Go Bucks. Matthew, thank you. That was a good win for Ohio State. Very hard-nosed Big Ten win. Very hard-nosed. You're not, it's going to be ugly when you go on the road to Happy Valley. But, yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think I think people are just, it's more of a panic sell and they're panic buying Harris. And I mean, but I'm not understanding the it's like it's too much at this point. I mean, this is one Iowa poll, but I guess they could argue, well, also the Marist, also the CNN, things like that. But other than that, it's like, I mean, these numbers are they're very similar to where they were a week ago. And Trump was sitting at 66% a week ago. Why are you worried about the New York Times poll? Well, let me explain this. Not the New York Times poll specifically in terms of the popular vote. What I can tell you is New York Times, their last Pennsylvania poll had Harris sitting plus 3. So now obviously that could be a Trump plus 2 when they do a new poll. We don't know. But when you get like a Harris plus 3, it's potentially the next poll that they release in that state's probably going to be like a Harris plus 2. Now that Harris plus 3 got knocked out of the aggregate. So that's why we're seeing Trump lead the aggregate right now by 0.4. But if they come out with a Harris plus 3, that's going to get put into the aggregate because it's a brand new poll. And it's going to affect the Pennsylvania. So, and I'm not saying it's going to be plus 3. I'm just saying their last one was plus 3. And it wouldn't shock me if there was no crazy change from their last poll. But I don't know about any of New York Times has not been horrible to Trump this cycle. It was just more Pennsylvania. But a lot of it's like we're really starting to really get nerdy with it. I mean, it's even if it's plus 3, it's within the margin. We need to seriously start taking into consideration that these polls are being manipulated intentionally to make profits. Well, the Iowa poll, there's big issues with the Iowa poll. The Iowa poll is so crazy to me. Also the CNN poll. The CNN, it was Wisconsin or Michigan, Harris +6. It's a total outlier. I agree with you. I mean, listen, people say that's cope. They'll say it's cope. Well, now you're losing and you're just coping. But I've never said the polls are rigged or anything like that. But I agree. I mean, to see an Iowa +3 like that, it is pretty crazy. Now, they'll argue their last one was Trump +4, so it's not a crazy change. But, I mean, their previous one in the summer was Trump +18. How are we not seeing the betting reflect Atlas? Nobody knows. Atlas, the 6 Atlas polls, the 7 Atlas polls should have a way bigger impact. Way bigger impact. You know, these are great polls for Trump. A tie in Virginia, possibly a shaky pollster, but still, you'll take that this late in the cycle. Watch Pennsylvania live in 2020, up 750K votes at 2 a.m. when they stopped counting. Afraid that will happen again. Yeah, they need to stop doing that. That's unacceptable. You need to have people working around the clock. There's no stopping. I mean, they stopped and they're like, we're going to bed. What? We're trying to decide the president here. I do remember that, man. That was crazy. Trump was up 16 points with like 50% of the vote in. If Trump loses the swing states by 10 points or more, would you accept the election? What would be your course of action? In that hypothetical, I would think that there is some type of malfunction. That's impossible. He's not going to lose swing states by 10 points. But I mean, I think you're talking about just like if Trump loses and it's pretty clear, what would be my course of action? Like he loses a Pennsylvania by 4 or 5. I mean, my course of action wouldn't really be anything. What am I going to do? It is what it is. But I mean, it's impossible for him to lose the swing states by 10 points. CNN in Georgia shows only a +1. CNN polls are silly. Well, that's just, I mean, I think we're taking, that's just a singular poll +1. You're going to get polls like that. I don't think there's anything wrong with a +1 in Georgia. Like, I don't think Trump's going to win Georgia by 10, so it's not going to be off that bad. The thing is, like, if CNN put out a Harris +5 in Georgia, that's when it starts getting ridiculous. A +1 is whatever. There's other polls in Georgia that are like +1, +2 for Trump, but the overall theme is that Trump is winning Georgia, and I think all the polls combined, it's like by 2.5, and there's a gold standard poll that has Trump up by 4. My liberal friend says Alabama and West Virginia are in play. Well, that's wait. I was hearing things about Selzer releasing an Oklahoma poll that has Harris up by 1, and that's coming out at midnight. Oh my God, dude. They're releasing an Oklahoma poll that has Harris up by 1. They're releasing, but don't worry, they're also releasing a DC poll that has Trump up by 10. Jorge, thank you, man. I appreciate it. It was a good week. It was a good week for Trump. JD Vance was awesome on Rogan. Cuban is nowhere to be found. The garbage truck was great. Trump should have the momentum. I agree. Vance was very good. We knew he was going to be good he's a very good talker. The garbage truck moment, hilarious. Good, capitalize on the moment is a good thing. Cuban. Well, there was a rumor that they told Cuban to just get lost, the Harris campaign. I don't know if that's true, but it was going around. It's pretty funny if it's true. He was getting crushed in the polls in 2020, and we were convinced he had it. He has winning numbers now, and we are panicking. Chill out. Yeah, I agree. But that's just kind of what it is. The thing is, dude, you know what it is? If people get used to winning, like people get used to Trump being at like 67% and up in all the polls, the second something bad happens, it's almost like a double whammy relative to Trump being down in all the polls. But you also have to factor there was a narrative in 2020 because the polls were so wrong in 2016. Why would any Republican trust the polls in 2020? Now it's a little bit different because the polls have showed that Trump is leading. And so people are like, all right, this is good. But now that he's down in some of these, now people are putting more stock into it. 2020 was more scorched earth. We don't trust any polls. Why would we look at 2016? 2024, now that Trump's leading some of the polls, it's got some confidence in some Republicans. And so when Trump now goes down in the polls, there's more of a reaction. That's how I would explain that. Why would the betting markets tank for Trump when swing states are even better for him today? Will they go up again? Well, I mean, this is this is based, I think, off of momentum and a singular poll in Iowa. And then they're like, well, what about the women voting more than men? That's a nothing burger. That's expected. Women vote more than men, and it's a double whammy because they do more early voting than men. And it's not like any of this early vote stuff would tank Trump's odds unless I totally missed an early voting dump or early voting data that came out. There's nothing that I think would do it. So I think it's a combination of the Iowa poll along with the internet momentum that Harris has had, the fake surge that she had yesterday, and then you combined all of it, and it's brought her up this far. That would be my best guess. But it's not like we're getting, oh my God, there's 3 polls that just got released in Pennsylvania and Harris is winning all of them. We're not seeing that. So if we were seeing that, then that would be a lot better in terms of explaining it. We're not seeing it. We are seeing more. I mean, I think for sure Harris, there was going to be a surge, especially with the CNN and the Marist polls. But it's really like all of this combination of everything. But it's like there's nothing happening. All these polls are good for Trump outside of the Iowa poll here. The Virginia tie is amazing, even if it's a bad pollster. Category 5, thank you. AW, no way he loses Iowa. I live in Iowa, and even my daughter and her friends that go to a liberal Iowa university are voting for Trump. No way he loses Iowa. No, I agree. And I'm not even going to say he's not going to. I'm going to say he's going to win Iowa by 8 or 9 points. I mean, it's not going to be close. My liberal friends say boys can get pregnant, and he carries golden dildo. Well, yeah. Poly market's going back up. Dude, there's so much of this. Brandon, they're trying to cheat in Georgia again using absentee votes. We'll have to watch it. There's really nothing I can do about that. I mean, it's just, we want it to be a clean election, and we have a lot of faith in Trump in Georgia. I've got a lot of faith that Trump's going to win Georgia. But it's not like Georgia is, that doesn't mean Trump's going to win the election. He's got to win other states. But I've got a lot of faith in Georgia and Arizona. But even in this, Trump's only up by 1.8, but in Arizona it's 6.8. It's interesting. North Carolina's has been a little bit trending more so in Trump's direction at around 3.5. Who else is going to get drunk on election nights? I can't do that, unfortunately, Maryland. Refresh. Well, somebody was telling me that Trump's going up. This is 52.8. That you're going to make him. This is great news. This is great news. The recovery. I mean, listen, it is, you're going to see a lot of shifts, but that is funny. It moved 2 points. The recovery. Someone said Selzer is America's best pollster. That's BS, right? Well, they've had accurate Iowa polls in the past, but they're an Iowa-based pollster, and they've released 3 polls this cycle. And I think they were off in 2020 as well, or they released several. Listen, they're not this crazy gold standard. That's what I'll say about them. But they've been known to be a decent pollster, and they've got a relatively high ranking. That's what I'll say. With all the latest polls, do you still favor Trump to take Pennsylvania, or is it a true toss-up? I think Trump's the favorite in Pennsylvania. I'm confident in Trump in Pennsylvania. New Utah poll with Democrats plus 41. Democrats winning by 1 in Utah. So you're trolling me, Titans. I appreciate the troll. Because trust me, we would see it. We would see Utah suddenly become, Kamala would go up 10 points. Come on. That's believable. No, it's, who was it? McMuffin or something? Wait, who was the dude that ran in 2016? The Mormon. He almost won Utah. He didn't almost win it, but he got a lot of votes. Evan, I think. Moon Crow says, honestly, I was concerned of Republicans being complacent and not voting due to the polling and poly market, but Republicans are scared with 1 day of vote. Yeah, I mean, I think Republicans, they this is a wake up call for them if they were thinking it's in the bag. But I mean, even this is crap. I mean, this drop doesn't really reflect the actual polling. Sus polls are used to justify sus results. Post. Yeah, I understand. Poly market going back up for Trump. Yeah, 2 points from what I saw. They're doing this to scare you. I agree. But also, I mean, that is technically a pollster that has a good reputation, but I don't know. I mean, it's just such a crazy out there poll. Democrats saying Trump is Hitler. Also, Democrats, we have proof Trump knew Genghis Khan. We have videos. Dems now Stalin was a fine fella. Well, no, there are leftists that are, they don't classify themselves as Democrats, but they'll probably vote. Well, a lot of them probably won't. But there are fractions within the Liberal Party that are communist, full blown, and they do like Stalin, yes, and that's more acceptable. Even though Stalin killed more people than Hitler, but it's more acceptable because Stalin won World War II. Do you think RFK is causing this polling in Iowa to be like such since he's still on the ballot? No, I think RFK was at 3%. That was something that happened in their poll, this same poll, the Selzer poll. They had RFK at 6%, which is a lot. That was in their September poll, but now he's down to 3%. But that would not cause this crazy shift. Him at 3%. If he was at 6 or 7%, I'd say that's going to cause a little bit. But him at 3% would not cause a shift to where Harris is leading in Iowa. That's crazy. Earliest bellwether state called on the 5th. Depends how they vote. Depends how they count, man. Just depends on how they count. To me, ideally, man, it would be so good if Pennsylvania. I just don't know when Pennsylvania's going to. They've said that Pennsylvania is going to take days, but I don't know if I believe that because in 2022 it was faster. It was a lot faster. I feel like Pennsylvania is going to count quick. I don't know why. If you look at 2022, there's going to be way more votes, but it's like, Jesus. I think, man, you just need these 3 states. That's it. Trump is back up in Pennsylvania by 2. DG, I'm going to be on a trip for work. Wanted to buy you 2 drinks for after the election. Wow, I appreciate that, Craig. That's nice of you. At $19.99. Excited to see what you do with the channel once the election ends and your much larger subscriber base. Yeah, I do have a decently big subscriber base at this point. It's definitely grown with the election, but it's one of those things where it's like, dude, like the election videos, it's not that it gets taxing, but it's like the same thing. But you shouldn't complain because this is like when you're making money and like the election happens at the perfect time for YouTubers. You have to understand with the ad revenue. And like October's a great month for ad revenue in terms of the CPMs. November's even better with Black Friday. December's really good. So it's been really good, man. But yeah, people have been asking me what I'm going to do. I do want to do a video endorsing Trump, and maybe I'll do that on Monday. Guys, somebody come up with a name for a video where I endorse Trump or something. I want to come up with a good name for it. Like, because it's hard. It's like, I don't want to just say why you should vote for Trump or something, but I don't know. Did you see Lily Tang body Jake Sullivan's wife in the New Hampshire debate? No, I didn't see that. I haven't seen many of these lower level debates, unfortunately. It's been mainly I've been mainly focused on presidential rather than any of the other races. Pennsylvania's interesting, man. We'll have to see with Pennsylvania. Or excuse me, New Hampshire. I'm sorry, New Hampshire. If Kamala loses again, do you think she'll run for office? What do you think it would say about her character, the validity of her campaign? Dude, I think if you lose a general election, especially someone like Kamala who clearly got in on DEI and they vetted other candidates that were better, I think she's toast, man. But they were like, well, she's going to run for something in California. Maybe she'll do that. She's going to be unlikable, man. You lose to Trump. Look at what happened to Hillary. Hillary was like an icon, and then she lost, and she had to go into hiding. Next poll in Minnesota, +5 for Trump, LOL JK. That would be something. The most recent poll I've seen in Minnesota was +5 for Harris. So, I mean, it's not terrible. I mean, it's kind of what I expected out of Minnesota, but maybe it'll be slightly closer. We have Elon. They have 73 IQ. Cardi B. Well, listen, this is Cardi B. You should vote for Kamala. She's reading, like, are you kidding me? They can't at least print her out a piece of paper so it doesn't look as bad. Give her a piece of paper, put it on the podium. She's reading from her phone. It reminded me of Robert De Niro outside of Trump's court appearance, reading from a piece of paper. Robert De Niro comes off the plane. He's outside of Trump's court thing, and he's reading off a piece of paper, trying to read it. It's from liberals printed it out for him, it's like handwritten. He can barely read it. The wind is blowing it. He's like trying to read it. The wind is blowing it away. He's like, oh, it blew away. I got to go get it. This is so ridiculous. The Economist just predicted a Harris victory. That's very sad to hear, because I remember their model, and they had a decent model when it was Trump versus Biden, but their model really took a turn when Harris got in. It really took a bad turn. It's unfortunate. It's how it's weighted. But I mean, I don't know why they would predict that with more polls still to be put in, especially if it's a model. Or is that just more of an overall thing where their experts are predicting it independent of their model? My liberal friend says, refresh Ginger Soy Boy. Listen, you're going to talk to me like that. I'll refresh it in a little bit. Don't forget the Amish. Yeah, the Amish are going to help Trump a bit for sure. But I think we might be over embellishing the Amish support. I think it's going to be about 15,000 total. JG, do you agree with Trump's team that he's surrounding himself with Tulsi, Vance, etc., that's responsible for his massive popularity this time around? Well, so dude, when it comes to his, there's a few things working in Trump's favor. Obviously, the assassination attempt. That is going to help for sure. His response to it, that is a huge thing. But on top of that, I mean, Tulsi's a crazy asset. A minority female that was a Democrat 2 years ago is now, it disproves all of their points that Trump is this horrible racist, he's misogynist. I mean, it disproves everything. So Tulsi's very key. Elon, I think Elon helps Trump no matter what, just because of the amount of reach Elon has and the amount of influence he has, the amount of money. Vance has been a really good talker. I think Vance, early on in the campaign after he picked Vance, they were able to label Vance kind of against women, and he hates women that don't have kids, and they kind of had that, but then Vance has kind of been able to stand on his 2 feet now. He did well in the debate. He raised his approval rating. He's a very good talker. He's very good at kind of massaging the MAGA message, being a little bit more innocent when he talks about it, and why the idea of it is good. Not in this almost brash way that Trump has, which some people like, and I understand why people like that, but just in terms of getting the independent vote, Vance is good for. But I think it's a combination of everything. But I mean, the assassination attempt and what he did after that, I mean, that's going to help you so much. And also there is a nostalgia effect as well. When you look back and you ask people retroactively, what do you think Trump's approval rating would have been? Or what do you think, do you approve of the job that Trump did now? It's very high. It's I think it's +2 in terms of approval. When Trump left office right after January 6th, he was -18 or 19. Now it's +2. It's nostalgia is helping Trump as well, because people are looking at these previous 4 years. They're seeing how bad it's been, and they're realizing that maybe it wasn't so bad under Trump, and a lot of the outrage under Trump, and originally it was the Russian hoax. They said Russia won Trump the election. They've given that up. They still think Trump's in bed with Russia, but then they tried impeaching him twice with the Ukraine bullshit. The idea that tens of thousands of people are changing their votes on a daily basis is funny. Most people have made up their mind. Trump is leading decisively. We just got to turn out and vote. I agree. I think Trump is clearly leading. I hear the pollster is retiring. She don't care. Is that true? The lower in shock polls for Harris should indicate Republican voters to not get complacent during the cycle. They should take it as a learning lesson. Well, I agree. I mean, I don't know. We don't know if it would be if Republicans are actually complacent. I mean, we'll know on election day and how they turn out. But in general, I mean, this will help definitely people be like, well, make sure you go vote. I feel like the Iowa poll news is cope for Virginia tightening and general bad press Harris has received. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. It's Virginia and New Hampshire we're seeing getting very close. And there's not I'd like to see more polling out of Virginia, but I don't know if we'll get it. Apparently there might be another poll coming out of Virginia. There might be one more. California poll has Trump up 14. Only 14? Dude. Trump is lagging in California. That's crazy. I thought I was told Trump there was an Emerson that had Trump up by 19 in California. Imagine Trump actually was leading California. It's impossible. You just gave me another shitty. You got to stop. Your endorsement title should be a clickbait apology video. I have something to tell you guys with a mewing face and yeah, you're a genius, man. 3-2 split, in my opinion. 3-2 split. What are you referring to? Tim B, the only two major party female candidates, both defeated by a grab him by the pussy guy. Yeah, it is kind of ironic, isn't it? P. Diddy supports Kamala. Thank you for the $2. 312 Trump. That was my prediction when I released my prediction video. You know, that's the thing is I was going to also reflect on my prediction and talk to you guys about it. Well, this is not my prediction, but this is my prediction. And I think this is all correct. So yeah, this is, you know, I just couldn't do it, man. I couldn't really change anything. There was a little bit of maybe with Michigan. Do I really think the Rust Belt's not going to vote together? There's a little bit of that, you know, when I was doing it. But I was like, dude, I've been sticking with 312 this entire time. I was not going to change Nevada because Trump's gotten so many better polls in Nevada. Arizona and Georgia, I was never going to switch, obviously, with the polling. North Carolina was another one. The only one I was thinking about was really Michigan. Wisconsin, I was always going to have going for Trump. Like, in terms of based off of even the polls recently, they haven't moved enough. The only potential would have been Michigan just because people think, it's a more liberal state, a little bit slightly more liberal than Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. And then people are like, well, maybe, you know, in New Hampshire. I was thinking about possibly New Hampshire. I just don't know, man. It's just hard. Like, I could have done New Hampshire. It's possible. There's polling within the margin of error, so it could happen. And then Virginia would have been the other one. You know, Virginia, it's just hard to pull the trigger on Virginia. I mean, I've had Trump at 312 for so long. I could have pushed him higher. I could have maybe had. I know a lot of people are saying Michigan's going to go left, and the other two are going to go right, and they're splitting them up. But I just didn't do it. Ron Paul is in on the mix. I know that the news with Elon, the Department of Government Efficiency. Been loving your channel of different alt history stuff for a while and didn't know you were conservative. That's dope. Great research on vids. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Alt history? Alternate history. I mean, I think I did do a few alternate history videos. Will millennials vote more conservative this Tuesday? Millennials are routinely liberal. I mean, I don't know the exact trends. I would imagine they would still be pretty heavily liberal in terms of the age ranges when I see them. I think you're more looking at young people, the 18 to 29, going more for Trump rather than in 2020. That could be a big change that we could see that could help Trump win the popular vote. Why are many reputable online sites saying Harris is gaining serious ground on Trump, like winning Iowa? Are they seriously saying she's like, well, listen, they might reference a poll and they can do that, but they have no context to it. So they'll reference and they'll say, well, she's gaining in Iowa. It's crazy. But like the context of that, and listen, oh my God, you know what? It's actually changed. I'm not going to, come on. I had Iowa dark red, but they'll just reference the poll and be like, this is why, but it's a single poll when everything else contradicts that single poll. You can't make a story about that, but they do. It is what it is. Harris plus 37 in Bama. Yeah, that's realistic. Paint the map red. I'm hearing New York is in play. Is that actually true? No, it's not. New York is not in play, man. I'm just being honest. It'll be about, I think, about at least a 12 or 13, about a 12.5 point loss, I'd say. But I have heard, Republicans say, I'm just trying to be honest about it. It's not going to happen. I don't think people realize what they will do to keep him out of the office. He's going to reveal where the bodies are buried. Of course, they'll rig the polls. Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, that Iowa poll is just unbelievable. Do you think there will be any surprises with the election? If so, where would the surprises be, Democrat or Republican? In terms of like states, like, oh, this is a shocker. Well, Iowa going for Harris is now. The shocker, I mean, New Hampshire would be a shocker for a lot of people if it went to the right because, not many people know that New Hampshire could be a swing state. They don't follow polling that closely. It really hasn't been in the news. Virginia would be a shocker. And then when it comes to liberals possibly picking off a state, I mean, I guess I mean I don't know. I mean, there's really nothing here where it's like they said Florida, but Florida's not going to happen. Is it Iowa? I mean, he's not going to lose Iowa. He's not going to lose Iowa. I don't really have a state where I think, oh my God, I'm shocked liberals won this state. I mean, obviously all the swing states they could win, but it's like they were originally saying, oh, it's going to be Florida. Florida's going to be close, or Texas, and it just hasn't materialized in the polls, and they've got no momentum behind it. So I don't know, man. I would say that the shockers would be maybe also a New Mexico, but that's probably unlikely as well. You think we'll have a winner on Tuesday night? Well, hopefully. I think we will. Based off of the way they did the counting in 2022 during the midterms, I know there was less votes, but I think the country needs it too. The country needs it, and we don't need to be gaslit like this is normal. It's not normal when you don't have a winner for 3 days and you're finding votes up your ass. Like 100 votes came in. Where'd the votes come? It's like 3 days after the election. What do the current early vote numbers in Michigan and Pennsylvania mean in your opinion? Well, Michigan, I think they're a total nothing burger. It's just early vote stuff. Pennsylvania, it's encouraging for Republicans because the early vote's a lot better, but we knew the early vote was going to be better, dude. The early vote, we can only draw so many conclusions on. This comes to day of turnout. The early vote is what it is. The early vote was always going to be a pain in the ass to try and draw conclusions from. You can draw enthusiasm from the early vote, and we've seen a lot of Republican enthusiasm, and you could even say in Nevada, it swung Nevada to the right. But I also think the polls that have come out of Nevada have swung it to the right, because we've seen several really good polls in Nevada now where it's like +4, +5, +6 for Trump. But when it comes to like Pennsylvania, it's encouraging, but I can't sit here and say, well, Trump's definitely going to win because he's cut the firewall down, he by like 500K or 600K, whatever it is. Because there's just so many variables when you compare the early voting to 2020. There's just too much, man. I just think the early voting compared to 2020 is so hard to compare. It's apples to oranges. It was a different world in 2020 in terms of the amount of people that were doing early voting. The liberals were fear-mongered. They didn't want to go out in public. They all did the early voting. Now more of them are going to go out, but there is more enthusiasm for Trump. There's no doubt about that. OH, thank you for that. Wyoming a toss-up, real and true. That makes total sense, man. I'm probably a doomer, but I got Trump winning North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada, but losing because Harris gets Wisconsin. So she gets the Rust Belt. No. That's the Sun Belt versus the Rust Belt. And that's a common prediction, Matt. That's a common prediction that liberals will do. That's 270 to 268. So that would be Trump potentially taking a New Hampshire to make up for losing the Rust Belt. That's what he would have to do. Or a Virginia if he wants to win. Mississippi poll Harris +7. No, but imagine they try and make it like realistic. Imagine they try and like release a Tennessee poll and it's like, well, Trump is winning, but +4. Like, so they try and make it semi-realistic. What would be the point of rigging a poll? Wouldn't that force Republicans to go vote? Well, it creates the narrative, and this is what people in the chat will say, and it's just a common belief. It creates the narrative and the anticipation that she should win. So in case something happens, shenanigans happens, well, she was supposed to win because look at the polls. Look at the Iowa poll. She was supposed to win. So that, and also it's meant to enthuse their base, and she can still win this. Look at this, she's winning, and it also helps with enthusiasm to their own base. Thanks for everything you do. Do you think the illegal vote will win the Rust Belt for her? No, I don't. I don't. I don't think she'll win the Rust Belt with the illegal vote. I think at least Trump will get Pennsylvania, but I think he gets all three. But at least Pennsylvania. Floor 262, ceiling 312. 262, that's with him losing Nevada along with the Rust Belt. I can understand that being the floor. They would argue, well, because you're right, I just can't see Trump at this point losing Arizona, Georgia, or North Carolina. Even Nevada looks good, but you're right, it is more of an iffy state. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything here. Ooh. If Trump wins, Harris as VP would have to certify the win. Thoughts on any funny business? Well, they would look like total hypocrites if there was anything that happened. What about Raskin, the representative, getting all like, oh, we're not going to certify it? Good, don't certify it. That's fine. You're just total hypocrites. You clutched your pearls about Trump challenging the election. Now you're going to do the same thing. You're just going to end up looking like dumbasses, so I don't think they'll do anything. I really don't. Yeah, no, that is right. Nah, it would be for other reasons unrelated to her as VP. I don't think she would be the one to certify it. Because somebody did tell me that. They did say that to me. I really think we can ignore polls from here on. Any radical change now is just optics. That includes Polymarket. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, it's not cope. This is, but even the polls look good. It is what it is. The polls for the past month have been amazing for Trump. Let's not negate that by having a panic attack about one poll. You know, how come betting markets odds have swung back to Kamala? It's based off of the internet surge and her getting a really good poll in Iowa, and they think that relates to the Midwest, and also good polls from CNN and Marist that have her winning, and it's this fake surge, and that's what it is. Atlas Intel CEO says if white guys show up on Tuesday, Trump will win. Well, I mean, yeah, but anyone could say that though, and I mean that is true. Media says Jeb Bush is winning Iowa. Don't go out to vote. Well, Jeb Bush does seem like the type of guy that would perform very well in Iowa. Wait, remember when? Oh no, that was Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz versus Ben Carson, the Iowa caucus of 2016. Aaron Jones, why is no one talking about Selzer donated to the Kamala campaign and she is retiring another? Well, yeah, someone just mentioned she was retiring another BS optic to rile them up. Yeah, I mean, what does she have to lose if she's retiring, if that is true? Someone mentioned that in another super chat to me, that she was retiring. By the way, I saw this thing. It's hard for me to get to this stuff but I saw this thing. Is this just not? This seems like very random. I don't know. I just can't. I thought this was fake.
Is in transportation. Another big opportunity is in transportation. Dozens of major companies in the United States and China are racing to develop vertical takeoff and landing vehicles for families and individuals. Just as the United States led the automotive revolution in the last century, I want to ensure that America...
It's got an AI photo of Trump driving a flying Tesla car. I mean, what? Isn't it weird? This is just a weird thing that's coming out right now. I don't know. Is there any doomering on the left, like on the right? No, I don't think so, man. I don't really pay attention to them though, so I don't know. They're just gonna. I think they've been pretty positive from what I've seen. They think she's gonna win, even when she was, losing Polymarket and everything like that. A lot of them still thought she was gonna win. There wasn't a ton of. Well, there was some people that kind of saw the writing on the wall, and it's more like the fringe people that are more far left, to where they're like, oh, she sucks. She's turned into establishment. We don't like her. They were kind of turning on her. But I think the general vibe was, well, it's like 50-50. She's going to win. Trump's terrible. He can't win again. It's, January 6th. But now, I mean, I'm sure they're very happy. But, I didn't hear that. It seemed like they were kind of optimistic that they were going to win. But, I don't pay a ton of attention to them and their narrative and stuff. So, but their narrative is probably a lot better. They're probably very happy, about what's happened. And, the same betting markets that they said didn't matter, they're all using them as sources, and that's why she's surging and everything like that. So it is what it is. I mean, it's the game of social media, but I don't really pay attention to that. I don't really care about what they say and stuff in their narrative. But Maine at large flips before Virginia. Your humble opinion. That's a good prediction, man. Yeah, Maine at large. You see the poll that came out? I mean, that poll is accurate, but it's kind of a ridiculous poll. But it had Trump up by 8. That's the 2 electoral vote Maine at large, which could matter, dude. It seriously could. And I mean, I think Trump could win Maine at large. JD Wilson just baffles me. Harris is even in anyone's conversation. What a crackling joke. Well, you have to understand, this is the Democratic apparatus. They fund billions and billions of dollars. They spend way more money than Republicans do. This is just how it is, man. She's always going to have a chance with that media apparatus, with all the mainstream media. It's just the modern world we live in, and the fact that Trump, he is, you either love him or you hate him. Although I don't know, some people may vote for him anyways, but it's not like we have this candidate who's 1000%. I mean, there are positives and negatives because a lot of the things with Trump is you can say, well, yeah, he can be divisive, but he gets people to vote. He galvanizes people, and that's something that other Republican candidates, like for example, a Glenn Youngkin probably wouldn't be able to do. And I'm not taking shots at Glenn Youngkin. I'm just saying as an example because people always talk about Glenn Youngkin possibly, running and his approval rating and everything like that. You have to factor in galvanizing your base and getting them to the polls. And that's Trump always overperforms polls as well. Liz Wheeler, X post, 2 people each put $25,000 on Polymarket to start the quick shift. $25,000 on Harris just to win in terms of the general. I mean, but there's shifts with all the swing states as well. It's probably a domino thing, I'm guessing. I'd imagine it starts going. They all start going, all the swing states. If GWB endorsed Kamala, would that change the polls? Well, I think any Kamala and really any endorsement at this point is not going to change anything. The polls are pretty much already done. Dude, people are reacting to this video. They think it's AI. I mean, how is this AI, dude? There's no way. That's AI. That video, that photo of Trump. But I mean, this is Trump legitimately. I mean, it's just like, I was like, wait, what is this? People seem to like it, actually. People seem to like the video. I was like, this is just a weird video to release right now. I mean, that's the Democrats' favorite word. Remember when they thought they owned the word weird? They're like, oh my God, we said the word weird. It's like, what are you talking about? Everyone calls everything weird. Oh, what is this? No Diddy, but you remind me of my prison wife. And your name's Daddy? Oh my God. What is this? What's going on with this? Watching from Australia. What web do you use to follow? I use Google Chrome. Rest in peace, yes, to Peanut. Do you think the Democrats are panicking? Well, at this point, I think there's a lot of panic within their internal campaign, but there's some of them that are gloating a little bit at this comeback a little bit. But I'm sure they're still, listen, they're in a much worse spot than they were in 2020, 2016. We know, according to reports, people within their administration have panicked and they're worried about several states. They're worried about North Carolina. They're worried about Pennsylvania. They're worried about Wisconsin. A lot of their top advisors have said Harris is not winning. She's been acting like a bitch this entire cycle. She's terrible to be around. And she's going to go on a rampage and blame Walz. And then look at Walz. I mean, he's calling Elon gay and he's lashing out. And it's real ugly within the Harris campaign. And then they get this fake surge and it's like, their supporters are going to like it. They're going to be happy. But within their campaign, I mean, all the reports are negative. She's miserable to be around. And now apparently she's just so tired all the time with the campaign. It's had an effect. Obviously, you go to 3 places in a day, 4 places. It's going to have an effect on you. But Harris was already miserable to be around back in 2019 when it was reported when she was in California. Imagine now. It's got to be real bad to be around Harris at this point. Remember, they said she locked herself in her hotel room on Wednesday during the DNC to like prepare for her speech and stuff. And her and Biden have a horrible relationship. The Iowa poll was a resist poll, a psyop. I agree. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I mean, how about it? How has it turned to the market this much? It's crazy. What are the chances we have a decision by the end of next week? I saw they're already filing lawsuits in Georgia. Well, my God, man. So you're talking about the election happening Tuesday night and possibly, because remember in 2020, what was it, Friday? Because if the election always happens on Tuesday, and then I think it was like 3 or 4 days, and then they called it on Friday morning, was it? But dude, it can't take till Friday. We can't have that again. But I mean, when it comes to the lawsuits and all the legal stuff after that, it's going to be a while, obviously. If stuff like that ends up happening, it'll just depend. Trump mentioned on Rogan that they were going to screw with the polls. Well, I mean, I think part of that is hedging, in case the polls turn bad. You do want to say it's good political strategy. But I mean, Trump's obviously going to know things, but some of that is also like, well, if I'm up in the polls, I can just say, they're going to do something. How big would polls change if Joe endorsed Trump? I mean, dude, you're talking about they're not going to be doing any more polls. The election's happening. So it's like if Joe endorsed Trump right now, maybe we'd get some snap polls and it would help a bit. I would imagine it would be just a weird thing. The dynamic of it would be so crazy. Biden, the sitting president, endorses the opponent of his VP. But it would never happen. I've told people it's not going to happen. Biden's just like he's just I mean, what even is these emojis, man? You got to stop with this. 9-inch, the reason why everyone should put money on Iowa for Trump. Iowans take pride in the primary in which she avoided. That's it. Well, yeah, with Iowa, it's huge. That's their big thing because they start the whole party when it comes to the primaries. They have a caucus or whatever, but it's basically the same. It actually is different, but yeah, Iowa, they're the big state. They start everything in February with when the primary season comes around. But yeah, dude, I mean Iowa, Iowa's not even any. The reason the polls, the betting is shifting is because they think, well, if Iowa's this close, it's a Midwestern state, it's going to affect other states, basically. Poly market doesn't matter anymore since it's close. Well, in terms of speculation with polls, on Tuesday night, when you start seeing votes come in, it'll be interesting to see which way it moves. But yeah, if it's like 50-50, it's not going to really matter. Jorge, thank you, man. An endorsement from Joe would take votes from Trump. Maybe that's their strategy. Dude, come on with this. You're sending just a bunch of crap. Iowa close to Arizona odds. Is it seriously? There's no way. 58.4 or 54.8, excuse me. Down 0.5. Down 0.5. Dude, it's 80-20 Arizona. Arizona's 72. How is Arizona going down a little bit? 80-20, 72. I mean, it's kind of close. That's crazy. But dude, it's like I feel like Iowa's obviously going to Trump. This is absurd. Justice for Peanut, yes. I mean, what are you talking about, man? Touchdown South Carolina, really? Dude, South Carolina's up 43-20. I'm looking at it right now. Man, Louisville's going to beat Clemson. Who would have thought? A Rhode Island, that's what you're saying? A Rhode Island poll has Harris +2? You got to stop, man. The trolls have gotten worse. You know, the trolls on my chat, they were in their prime about a month ago. They've gotten worse. You telling me there's a Rhode Island Trump plus or Harris +2? Come on. I'm carrying Polymarket. Dude, this is absurd. If Trump goes down, I'm detaching myself from Polymarket. No. This is just betting. It's normal fluctuation. This is just a correction. Never forget Skamala is DEI dinner. No, she definitely is. They admitted it. Biden admitted it. Is Kalshi better than Polymarket? No, it's not. There's less volume. They'll say, well, it's American. Yes, but there's VPNs, and also you want the betting market that has more volume. There's like $3 billion of volume in Polymarket. I'm not simming for Polymarket, but that betting site, it's more liberal. It's manipulated by liberals. They're like, it's all crap. But no, then they were trying to argue, well, there's more whales on Polymarket. But dude, it's Polymarket. You're gonna get more volume. I mean, what's the volume on this bet right here on this forecast? 3 billion. Oh, Trump's actually has had a rebound. Not trolling. Rhode Island poll came out October 29th. That would be amazing to react to something like that on stream. Is Trump screwed in Pennsylvania? Why would he be screwed in Pennsylvania? Trump looks good right now in winning in Pennsylvania. Why is he dropping so much? A lot of a propaganda campaign with an Iowa poll. I mean, there's really no other poll. This is mainly like a momentum based thing. Mod me? Oh yeah, sure, man. I think I've got like 7 or 8 mods. People say I have too many mods, but I have like 7 or 8 mods right now. There was another Iowa poll. It was the Emerson Trump +10. So it is funny that there was another Iowa poll that got released. It's good as a coping mechanism. Tennessee Kentucky game is too close. Dude, I don't know. Not really. I'm looking at it right now. Tennessee's up by 10. Boy, SMU destroyed Pittsburgh. Yeah, SMU, they might finish 11-1, honestly, dude. BTC responding to Polymarket, so it's going down, you're saying? Is that what that means? How late are you staying up for this? This stream, a little bit longer just because we get the extra hour, I would say. We get the extra hour. Ron Paul bringing libertarians on board. Yes. Very, very good late development. Let's link up for a stream. Who's Brandon Mason? He wants to collab with me. This is such a fake surge. You know, Mac, I know. It's amazing to see. This is totally fake. It's already trended back. The fake surge is over. Sunshine and rainbows. Atlas Intel or Selzer. Well, Selzer is just a poll based on Iowa. Atlas Intel it's a completely different. It's a completely different thing entirely. It was one Iowa poll. They didn't release a poll on all the swing states that had Harris up. It was one poll, and that's why the surge happened. Well, that's not totally why the surge happened. She was already surging a little bit, to be fair, but I think it just added to it, and when it came out, it kind of brought her all the way up to like 47. Bailey, at this point, I've accepted. I'm just not gonna get any real sleep between now and Wednesday morning. Yeah, I mean, I need to get good sleep because I got to do these. Yeah, the extra hours is good, bro. This dude is asking about my net worth again, dude. My net worth, it's not important, but it's nothing crazy, bro. Come on. You bet 44 cents no on Skamala. Predict it. Yeah, dude. That's crazy. So they've got Kamala yes right now at 56. Predict it does. I mean, Predict it has been more liberal in terms of the betting and the odds and stuff, and it's based off a user base, but it's still pretty crazy. Dogecoin is down, dude. Dogecoin was up when that dude mentioned it at the rally. Dark MAGA is, dude, come on, can this coin do something? These coins have got to do something if Trump wins. I'm gonna lose my mind. Please, yeah, it looks like a lot of stuff is down. Election time has Trump at 287, losing Wisconsin and Michigan. Well, that's interesting, man. That is. I couldn't pull the trigger. The only thing I would have done is Trump losing Michigan. I wouldn't have done Wisconsin. But Trump, that's still a Trump victory. You lose those two states, election time, they've got Trump winning everywhere else, 287. So that's a fine prediction. Now is a good time to bet Trump on Predict It. Yeah, I mean, I would look even at other markets to see if there's even better odds, but I'm guessing Predict It probably has the best odds right now. I have actually not even looked at this updated to see how the damage on this. You see it, yeah, it has moved a bit. They don't even have Predicted in here, which is kind of good for Trump. See, they do it. Polymarket's at 52. There's still some of these at 58, 54, 60. I mean, Polymarket's one of the lowest, actually. So it seems like it's had more of an effect, the poll on Polymarket, than all the other betting sites. Doesn't early voting numbers only reflect percent of people that have voted per party? And if so, that doesn't reflect the many Dems that voted for Trump. Yeah, well, it's based on party. It doesn't say the exact, they voted for Trump. But if it's like, we can kind of surmise. Now, technically, there could be people switching over that are Democrats that have the Democrat ID and vote Trump. And there could also be Republicans voting Kamala. So, but I would imagine there's probably more Democrats voting Trump. But you're right, that wouldn't show up in early voting. But there's not a ton of that. So that's why you can kind of take the overall numbers and be like, all right, this is probably, the way it's going. If it's like 49% Democrats, it's not going to be for sure 49%. She's not going to get 49% of the vote for sure, but it's probably going to be somewhere around there because most Democrats at like a 95% rate are going to vote for Harris. Just like 95 or 96% of Republicans will vote for Trump. $270 to win, Biden up 9.2 in Wisconsin on November 2nd in 2020. Yeah, 2020 was a mess, dude. But 270 to win. But isn't 270 to win just an aggregator as well? I don't think they have the actual polls. They're almost like they're just like Cook Political or Real Clear, where they just have a bunch of polls combined. But I don't, I used to look at 270 to win when I was younger because that was the site where everyone filled out the maps, but people don't use that anymore. D. Jingy is a true American patriot and a fine young boy. I feel like I'm being groomed with that comment. No, I'm kidding. Thank you. Saturday Night Live is breaking the FCC equal time rules. They can't offer this to Kamala only. Paperwork would need to be filed. It was done in 2016 for Clinton Trump. So, I mean, did they file paperwork? Wait, so who was on SNL in 2016? Hillary? Dude, SNL is So they're having Harris. Yeah, this is just so pathetic. Why don't they make fun of Harris for not going on JRE and doing SNL instead on SNL? They should make. They're not going to do that, but it'll be a funny thing. Like, haha, Trump's a big racist fascist. It's hilarious. Like that'll what it'll be. Vote for Kamala. Oh my God, we've never heard that. Oh my God. Whales manipulating Polymarket and shorting crypto. This is just rookie stuff. Big money is at stake here. This is easy manipulation for big money. Yeah, I mean that is possible, but I feel like if you have this much money, it would just be better to manipulate meme coins or coins with lower market caps. But I mean, we'll see what happens. To me, this is a bit of it has gotten a bit ridiculous. Like I could see a world where with some of these polls it gets down to about 60-40. But with it getting this low, I mean, but Trump's looking like he's going back up. I think generally we'll see what happens, but I think it's going to settle, honestly. I think it will settle. And maybe it is starting to settle, but I feel like it'll settle around 57, 58 going into election night at least. I mean, these polls tomorrow are going to be very, very intriguing. Not that they, people say they don't matter anymore. They probably don't, but it'll be interesting to see what New York Times has. Minnesota in play. Somalins going for Trump is huge. Yeah, Minnesota is. I mean, it's within. It's within 5 or 4. I actually want to look at that polling in Minnesota because I did see I think the Rasmussen plus. It was the Rasmussen +3. Yeah, there was other polls. I mean, they don't put them in, but it's 4.8. It'll be interesting. Minnesota. I think Minnesota's fringe right now. If you go on with anyone, I hope it's Red Eagle. Yeah, Red Eagle's a good dude. I had a phone conversation with Red Eagle. He's a good dude. How would both candidates get to 269? There are ways you can do it, but based off of what we've seen with Trump trending in the Sun Belt, it's unlikely to happen. The ways would include, I think, Trump taking 2 out of the Rust Belts, but like losing Georgia and North. There, it is possible both get 269 with just the swing states splitting, meaning you wouldn't really need anything crazy to happen. But with the movement we've seen in the Sun Belt, it's unlikely it's going to be 269 to 269 in my opinion. But I mean, it depends. Maybe if we see Maine at large shift, there's ways to get the tie, but it's unlikely. But it's always going to be unlikely because you're talking about one specific scenario. No matter what, it'll be unlikely. Department of Government Efficiency, Doge. That meme coin. Yeah, I missed out on that, but I'm sure it's going to do very well. I mean, it already probably like 200x from what I saw. Can you show the Virginia polls? I mean, I don't know if they're all in here. There was a good Virginia poll. I highly doubt they put it in here. They didn't put it in here. Now, there was the problem with the Virginia poll that was released today. There were so many undecided. So it was 45-45. Like, look at this Rasmussen. It's 48-46. I don't know, man. I would like to see that. It's from like a fringe pollster, I think that's why. But it was a tie. It was a tie in Virginia, and then Cal was down by 1 against Tim Kaine in the Senate, which is shocking because every poll I've seen, he's down by a lot. Kaine's got that incumbent advantage in a liberal state. It's hard when you're in the Senate race. A&M lost. Yeah, A&M was kind of a fraud, man. Trafalgar, I think they'll probably do more Trafalgar polls if I had to guess, because I never heard Trafalgar was releasing their final polls, or like they announced they released them. So I think they'll probably do maybe one more set of polls, which would be a good update for Trump. Trafalgar's had accurate polls in the past. I mean, they are right wing. It is what it is. But you've got people like CNN releasing a Harris +6 in Wisconsin. It's total crap. But then we have to let that happen. But then we can't have Trafalgar. Okay. Was Rasmussen off? No, by quite a bit. They weren't off by quite a bit. I think the midterms. I don't think they did many polls in the midterms, but in 2020 they were relatively accurate. You know what? I've shown this a lot, but I'll just show it to you guys because I'm sure a lot of people haven't seen this. This is the scorecard, and I'll show you how to interpret this. So this is the full 2014 to 2022, but this includes midterm results. What you want to look at is mainly 2020 and 2016. So these are the top pollsters, and you can see some of the top pollsters here. But this pollster does very rare polls. Like, they only did 6 states. Trafalgar did 12 states, and they were the third most accurate. But this is based off of state polling. That's why you don't see Atlas at number 1, because I don't think they did state polling. But in terms of the popular vote, Atlas was most accurate. This is not based off of the popular vote. It's state by state. But Rasmussen was number 4. Monmouth is really, I think they lost a lot of their funding because they had such a horrible election cycle. Quinnipiac's I've seen their polls. CNN was horrible. I haven't seen any Mason-Dixon polls. They only did 3 states, though. Wish they held off on that Elon space till late October. Yeah, I mean, you bet in a time like this, it would be good, man. It would be good. I'm surprised they didn't do another one. I'm a little bit surprised because it's good for Elon in terms of promotion of X and spaces. And obviously, it's good for Trump, you would think. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't exactly what Trump wanted or something, because I thought they were going to do another one. Or, I mean, Trump's very busy. Obviously, he's campaigning. It's probably more important to do a rally in a swing state. I don't know the exact influence a space would make. It's more important to go to the people. Take on Alan Lichtman doubling down. Well, I mean, he's really not doubling down. This is the internet. He's said for a while that she's going to win. If he were to switch this late, it would just look so weak. So he really can't. I mean, he's doubling down because he's forced to. And you even saw him picking the states. He's like picking these states. Oh, it's the early voting. Like, what are you even talking about, dude? You're talking about early voting in North Carolina, the reason she's going to win the state. And same thing with Georgia. What? There's no actual reason. But a lot of these liberals, there's not going to be a big reason. Like, you can't pick Harris to win Georgia with an actual reason other than, well, in 2020 they were able to flip it, and I think the polls are wrong. It's like, that's, and they flipped it by 0.3. It's not like they flipped it by like 2 or 3 points. I mean, it's barely. So, like, I think a lot of the liberal cope, I don't even think they could argue Nevada. Well, they might argue Nevada, but there's been positive polls for Trump in Nevada. It's just all the Rust Belt, man. It's just going to be the Rust Belt. And then they might try and say North Carolina. That would be my guess on the liberals predicting. But Lichtman wasn't even that with Lichtman. He predicted Georgia and North Carolina to go to Harris. And it's like there's not even a reason other than early voting. Like, Jorge, thank you, man. Should we be worrying about Trump losing? No, we should not. I mean, listen, crazy Iowa poll just came out. Thank you. I didn't know, man. You got to tell me what it is. You're breaking this news to me. Is Tennessee going to lose to Kentucky? Oh, no, Tennessee's up by 10. No, Tennessee's going to beat Kentucky. I don't think we should be worried. I mean, we should be diligent and everyone should vote, and that's what what I think. Probably of an influx of Democratic. No, it's not even that, dude. It's not even like the early vote looks good. He's basing it off of more women voting than men, which was always the explanation is total bullshit. It's not that it's not like Democrats are doing crazy well in early voting in these states, but even if they were, even, the liberal pollsters and the liberal experts, they know you cannot base a prediction off of just early voting alone. That's ridiculous. It's just not, that's not how you make predictions. Florida is going red. Yeah, I would say about 9 to 10 points is the margin I'm looking at. There's people more bullish on Florida. They think it's around 12. Are you a Bengals fan? No, I'm a Browns fan, man. Ever since you hit 200K, a lot of libs pulling up to your channel. Really, I don't even notice them. I don't even notice liberals in my channel, but that is what it is, man. Selzer just murdered her career with the poll. Well, she's retiring, apparently. I don't think she doesn't even care. So, the poll is what it is. Predict it has Wisconsin 66-40, but that's over. That's way over 100%. You mean 60-40 doesn't even make sense. Predict its numbers are way off. I'm sorry. Trump gained really good final momentum with libertarians. I agree, man. I do agree. All we can do is vote. And we've sat here and we've analyzed everything, and we know Trump's ahead, and we're going to get fake polls that try and bring it down, but it's demoralization. We understand that Donald Trump will be elected the next president, and we're very thankful, and we need to vote, and to make that happen, it's very important. Harris on SNL. Yeah, she's got time for SNL, but not Rogan. Oh my God, Trump's racist. He's a fascist. He's a dictator. Oh my God. She's going to say earth-shattering things, and they're going to make fun of Trump. Wow. Getting sick and tired of this. Predicted always has large imperfections. Yeah, Predicted's been, I mean, how's it 66% chance? That's out of control. It's nonsensical. Messaging live from a Fort Wayne plant. UAW worker here. As a Democrat, I will say that most of us here in Detroit Ford plant are voting Trump. Wow. Well, Detroit obviously is a heavy liberal area, but Michigan's a very interesting state, man. It's very interesting. There's a lot of talk about Michigan. But thank you for the message. James, thanks for the 99 cents. Predicted as low volume. Low volume equals high swings, right? So it's, it is what it is. Kip, thank you for that. Trump back at 54%. I'll do an update here. Actually, I'll just take a look at this. Guys, look at this. They have creators. Come up with things. So Nate Silver comes up with stuff. Zero hedge. Guys, give me a troll question to do, and I'll send it to Polymarket, and I'll be like, I'm a creator. You need to put this up here. Give me a troll thing to do. like something people can bet on, and I'll try and do it. But it can't be too bad. I mean, but look, they have creators like Nate Silver. Iowa margin of victory, and it's a picture of her. Oh my God. Oh, come on. What is the Trump by 2? I mean, look at all this. Trump up by 0.4 in Pennsylvania. I know I think that's mainly because for more than 24 hours, that's because there's no new polls there. Ask them if they think Trump will put pronouns in his bio. Well, that's going to be a 0%. You can't do that. There's no point in doing that. Will we have a winner? Will we have an unconventional path? A winner have an unconventional path? Well, you would have to specify what unconventional means. What's Trump's best case, worst case? I mean, it's hard to say, man. It depends his best case, it would be around, I think, 340 is his absolute best case, in my opinion. What are the next polls that will drop? I would imagine there's going to be another Trafalgar drop and a New York Times drop for sure tomorrow. They've confirmed there's going to be a New York Times drop tomorrow. Atlas is done. There's no more Atlas drops. Their final poll happened tonight. Rasmussen is done. CNN is done. Will Trump visit Peanut's grave after he wins? Yeah, that's what I mean, but that would also be like a 1% chance. What was the other? Will Trump? That'd be kind of boring. Trump takes Minnesota. You can actually see that. I think it's like a 10% chance right now in Minnesota for Trump. Why is no one talking about the ABC slip up calling PA for Kamala? I know there were Republicans that talk about it, dude. I really think they were just testing. Like, there's just no way that it would be that coordinated, that far out from the election to where it would be rigged that they would accidentally put that up. I mean, that would be just next level ridiculousness. James, thank you. Sunamu, thank you. Wow, nice. You could put a message in there. Trump pronouns, he win. Yes. They need to do 100K person poll. I think it would cost too much. It would have to be some internet crap. And plus, when you do those bigger samples, they could also tend to. It's hard sometimes with the bigger samples and getting the right demographic, and it costs a lot of money. Portland might get an MLB team. I think it's unlikely. But all right, guys, that is going to do it for this video, for this live stream. Excuse me. God, when did I start this? 9:30? Wow, I did start this at 9:30. Okay. Do we have any stats on low propensity, no propensity voters? Yeah, there are stats. Trump's winning them by a lot. It was like by 49. It was just a poll, but Trump should win the people that haven't voted yet, or people that haven't voted. This is their first time voting, basically. There was an election leaked MSNBC election test broadcast calling Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona for Trump, and Virginia in a dead heat. You know, dude, you want to know something? If that's actually true, I'm guessing MSNBC did that on purpose after there were all the conspiracy theories about the ABC leak. It wouldn't surprise me at all. They leaked it on Trump winning every state. It wouldn't surprise me at all if that was to try and be like, oh, see, but no, I think it was all a test anyways, but I'm just saying it's funny. Libertarians will bring 0.5 to 2% per state. I think that's a bit rich for that. I think that's a bit rich. Where's Soto going? Probably back to the Yankees, but I don't know, man. Trump is under 90% in Ohio. Oh, my God. Well, what is he at, 89? Will Biden and Trump have a normal transfer power? Biden to Trump, I think, would be normal, yes. $4.70. Thank you, Garrett. That's a nice amount. Just kind of a random amount. But, guys, that is going to do it. But I'll obviously be back on tomorrow night. I'll be streaming until the election and then probably after it as well. But apparently you got Kamala Harris on SNL. I'll be seeing you guys. Hold on, there's one more. Apparently it was using Kamala's internal polling. What? Why would they do that though? They would use Kamala's internal polling to perform a test. Come on. It was probably just random things, if anything. I mean, we're kind of reading too much into it, but I mean, it might have been something where they were like, these dumb Republicans think it was rigged. We're going to put out a poll with Trump winning. We're going to put out a test with Trump winning everything. But I don't know.